What is this? URBONUS podcast.
Man, yeah, this is the URBONUS podcast. And we're going to talk about one of the craziest nights that we had in the season, right?
Welcome back, guys. On this.
Okay.
This is a nice way for you to come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah, EuroLeague was waiting for us to come back, to display this performance and all these gems. A lot to discuss, of course, starting from Panathinaikos and Zalgiris, Partizan being on a good run. We thought that we were going to talk more about Zvezda, but probably there are not many reasons to talk about them following Maccabi's loss, NBA Europe stuff, our impressions and experience from Chicago and United States. So a lot of things on this episode, but we cannot not to start from the game in Oaxaca. And I mean, Ataman being ejected, it felt like it was because of the fan. Zalgiris from being up by 20, losing the game. Winnie and Gabriel, this crazy performance in the fourth quarter. Kendrick Nunn, another crazy performance. All this experience on Oaxaca.
Kostas Lukas, crazy performance.
Kostas Lukas. So pick your start. Pick your starts to react.
I want to start from last episode of the third quarter. Last possession by Zalgiris in the third quarter, plus 13. After an amazing first half, solid third quarter, I would say. They stopped the momentum, the initial comeback of Panathinaikos from down 20. They were only down 13. You can't expect that Panathinaikos are not going to make a run in the second half. But they stopped the first run, and they have the opportunity to hold the ball until the last, until the last seconds, until the buzzer of the third quarter. And instead of maybe having plus 15, Dovydas Giedraitis goes too early. Veni and Gabriel blocks the shot.
Hey, sorry for interrupting you, but to say that instead of going for plus 15, it sounds very optimistic watching the second half of Zalgiris and the way they were shooting from the field.
Okay.
But it's keeping it at plus 13. Yeah, okay.
Instead of keeping it plus 13, Kendrick Nunn goes on the other side and scores that three-pointer. And after a good 10 minutes, I would say third quarter was not that bad. Third quarter, you expect Oaxaca to start roaring. You expect PAO to start making runs. And instead of just holding the ball and throwing it in the air, it would have been better. He goes in too early, and you are left with only a 10-point lead going into the fourth. And 10-point lead, 13-point lead, psychologically, it's not the same. Now the whole building is going crazy. Panathinaikos are going to keep the momentum. And momentum is such a wild thing in basketball sometimes that it's sometimes enough to just this one situation to turn the whole game around. And I thought that was super important. I thought that was one of the biggest what if moments in that game. So many good things by PAO and so many bad things in the last 10 minutes by Zalgiris. But that was after the game, I was like, what if Giedraitis just does not even play that first quarter? Like keep the ball and finish the quarter. You're plus 13. You have a pretty strong lead without the momentum.
Yeah, I remember we had a discussion that it all started from Kendrick Nunn's three-pointer. But to me, it actually all started from Wayne and Gabriel contesting that shot. And Wayne and Gabriel's figure in the fourth quarter was just exceptional. He scored 7 points in the fourth quarter, but he blocked or changed Zalgiris shots by contesting them or just swatting them away for 7 times. He forced 4 Zalgiris turnovers, and his hustle plays, including offensive boards that he had, he impacted 3 offensive boards for Panathinaikos, or his blocks that translated into transition situations, got another 7 points from Panathinaikos. So we're talking about half of Panathinaikos points scored in the fourth quarter impacted by Vinny and Gabriel, and of course on the defensive end, Zalgiris couldn't do anything. And I love that moment which happened before the last minute of the game, where Arnas Butkevičius got the ball on the perimeter. He drived, and Vinny and Gabriel just stepped in into the paint. And Butkovic was like, okay, I'm running right to the corner.
Because he got blocked violently before
Everybody
that.
got blocked by Winnie and Gabriel. And, it was just a brilliant performance by Gabriel.
I do think it's Gabriel.
Given the circumstances, losing Mathias Lessort and Ömer Yurtseven, Panathinaikos exploring the market. Given the circumstances that night, Panathinaikos being down by 20 and creating that comeback, and just to see him finally getting some rest at the final stretch of the game, and just like he was breathing really deep, and it was like well-deserved rest for the guy who made the difference. So amazing performance by Gabriel.
Yeah, like you say, it all started from defense. I mean, the first half, when we were seeing that Zalgiris, that has the worst offense in the league, score 51 points, the first thing you point to is Panathinaikos' defense, not the Zalgiris offense. Sure, they made shots, but most of them were from the paint. I think
layups.
Coach Ataman,
it's not that hard to make layups.
The stat he actually highlighted, Coach Ataman did in the halftime interview, was they made 18 out of 22 buckets at the rim, basically. So when you allow so easily to get to the bucket, and on the other end, you're like missing open shots. They missed the first, I don't know how many 3-pointers they took. They missed many open shots, and then when they started missing the open shots, they became frustrated, especially in the case of Kendrick Nunn, who started like forcing the game a bit and shooting tough shots, missing those two. At one point, he was like 4 out of 13 from the field. And then defense changed the whole momentum, like you guys said. But it started from the third quarter, not from just necessarily fourth quarter. Yeah,
That's true.
They were 1 of 15 from three. I'm talking about Panathinaikos in the first half, and some good shots were missed. But just we are going to go back, I think, on PAO in the second half. But like first half from Zalgiris. If EuroLeague was played in 20 minutes, like Zalgiris would be champions, and that stat from Mykolas Stumbras, in which like says the plus minus, how you play the first half, how you play the second half. Zalgiris has the best point differential in the first 20 minutes in the entire EuroLeague, and the worst in the second half. To me, that's a stat I've never seen in my life. Like,
true,
this type of difference just does not exist, but it's been the main storyline of Zalgiris season, and it is actually sometimes like I could not understand yesterday what happened. I understand some parts of it, like the tactical stuff, what Zalgiris are missing, what's going wrong, but it's just first half they look like unbeatable team. I don't know why other teams start a little bit sluggish against them playing. They have a great plan, like yesterday. They were doing the same things that they did to Panathinaikos 2 months ago in Kaunas when they won. Like the same one play for Lonnie Walker that got him that crazy dunk. You remember, guys, that crazy dunk? Zalgiris used that same play five times yesterday in the first half. 5 times they got basically a layup or a 2-pointer. And then 2 plays like Ulanovas gets the ball inside the post. On the weak side, there are screens for Sirvidis. He sets the screen, he gets the screen. They scored twice. 2 months ago in Kaunas, 2 or 3 times Zalgiris scored from the same play. So basically, you just know, like Trinchieri knows, or Zalgiris coaching staff knows what's going to work. They do it. The other team is not prepared, and they're looking like, I don't know, best team in the EuroLeague. And then the intensity goes up, and this team just falls apart completely.
They're up. They have their plus minus in the first half is plus 100. Their plus minus in the second half is minus 126. So we're talking about a 226-point swing in 2 halves.
Wow.
That's just insane. And it's actually good that you mentioned that it didn't start from the fourth quarter. It actually started from the very first possession of the third quarter. Do you remember Lonnie Walker having the ball and he's just losing it because Jeremy Grant is super aggressive and he forces him traveling the ball? And that's the thing that we spoke about already. before this podcast watching amazing BC Wolves and Gran Canaria game, right? How Lonnie Walker and Silvano Francisco are struggling against the aggressive or hedge defense. That's the story of Zalgiris season, basically. That's the story of the second half of Zalgiris season. And usually Zalgiris builds the lead. It forces the opponents to be more aggressive defensively. It happened with Fenerbahce. Now it happened with Panathinaikos. Okay, I'm not saying that they're losing only because of that, because in the fourth quarter, they also had some open shots, good opportunities to score, but it's really impacting Zalgiris, and they need somebody to pass the ball better or just to read those situations better when their opponents are really aggressive, or I don't know what coach can actually do to change the way they get into the half-court possessions.
But you guys are looking at it very tactically. I look at it from the mental side of things, and I feel like Zalgiris builds a lead, and then they're like, okay, now let's protect it. Let's not be as aggressive as we were in the first half, because now we have a 20-point lead. It's not like a decision you make, obviously. It's not a conscious decision, but I feel like it just happens. You know, these players are, like in Lithuania, we have this mental problem of not securing wins even with the national team and all that. A bunch of players from Zalgiris are, in the national team and are Lithuanians. Some are not. Some are foreigners. But what I'm trying to say is, feels like it's a mentality issue. Then you get shell-shocked by the other team completely raising the aggressiveness, and you can't keep up. You can't catch up anymore because the momentum is on the other side. I feel like that's what happened yesterday in the third quarter, and especially then in the fourth. You just look at Andrea Trinchieri's face, and you see just like a blank face, a person who doesn't understand what the hell just happened. And the players, just the confidence goes away in those moments. It's weird though, because before Lonnie Walker came, do you guys remember what Zalgiris we were talking about? We were talking about Zalgiris that actually played the first halves bad and then started doing these crazy comebacks. Yeah. So where's this difference with Lonnie's arrival? That's what I would like to know. Is this about him coming, or in general terms, look at the results after Lonnie has come. It's problematic.
You have to be fair. That 6-1 was a lot of luck involved in that 6-1. Like a lot of close games won. Everything went their way, and without an addition, I'm not sure that the results would have been much better.
But don't you think that the mentality in the team changed a bit with him coming in, where before there were sort of underdog mentality? We're going into every game. We don't have the most talented players. Okay, we have Francisco at this moment overperforming, perhaps. Gytis overperforming. But in general, we're like these dogs who want to win. And now Lonnie comes in. Oh, look at this talented guy taking all these shots now. And eventually this team just started losing. And I feel like they lost their identity a little bit from the beginning of the season.
But they are a good team. Like
they are still a good team.
They are such a great team. And if not for this one particular problem, okay, let's say two. I see two main problems, like the one you mentioned. They are a good team. They have proved it in the first halves. They know how to play. But what they're missing is leadership. They don't find a leader, and in tough moments, I don't see that confidence coming from one player that's like, okay, the game is going really well. I'm going to take over. I'm going to make this team stay alive in bad moments. And the second part is what Donatas already mentioned, the lack of a point guard, the lack of a guard who can pass the ball. And I would even go to what happened in the summer, because Zalgiris wanted Rokas Jokubaitis. He is a guy that would make that pass to a short roll against hedging defense. He's not, I don't know, top tier point guard in Europe, but he's good, and he is, he knows how to pass the ball. Francisco is, I would say, average at passing the ball, and even in the preseason, I had like a couple of moments, not even against hedging defense, like he's not making good decisions when playing against pick and roll coverages. He's good to drive inside the paint and kick it out, but against some kind of pick and rolls defenses, I was like, okay, sometimes he's not making really great decisions. And now against this aggressive hedging defense, like not only against Fener and yesterday, it happened against Baskonia, it happened against Olympiacos, Real Madrid. Everybody just makes aggressive defense, and it's like, yeah, we're going to beat Zalgiris. In the last 5 games, in the fourth quarter, if you are looking at the runs that the other team has made, you have 31-2 run by Panathinaikos against Zalgiris, 19-4 from Fenerbahce, 10-3 from Virtus, even though Zalgiris won that game, 13-0 from Real Madrid, and 13-0 from Olympiacos. That's 9-82. 9-84 combined total in the fourth quarter in the last 5 games only. Wow. That's just ridiculous numbers. 84-9.
Yeah, just as not making a single field goal in the fourth quarter against Panathinaikos.
Oh, yeah.
That was tough. I cannot recall any game like that, actually. I don't remember anybody just not making a single field goal. So,
you know what, guys? This might be one of my favorite promotional segments that we ever had, actually, because I'm very excited with the glow game we'll have at the end of this. We have Trace and Chase on the board today.
Yep.
And what kind of game we are going to have?
We're gonna unpack some EuroLeague cards. Believe it or not, we never. I mean, there have been obviously the NBA ones, collectible cards, like to just have a collection, but now there's EuroLeague ones, and I don't think...
Man, that's a great thing, because
that was a thing before.
When I remember my childhood, it was all about collecting those football cards. Man, it was
Stickers,
those World
cards.
Cups or European Championships, and it was great. Yeah, but I was missing those basketball cards. And okay, there was the NBA, but I'm European. I want something more relatable. And when we were in contact with Trace and Chase, I was like happy like a kid, like I was not aware that we actually have EuroLeague cards and some great cards that they do, because they have some retro cards, cards with the current players and stuff, a lot of different boxes, a lot of different collections. So I was like, man, it's real. So
you mentioned childhood collecting cards. I'm like, I was collecting cards like last summer.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people who actually did it. Maybe, for their kids sometimes, but Euro 2024 was a thing. They had these cards of players. They had this, journals where you can put those cards in, and it was super fun. I even was like in one Facebook group where they were trading the cards, so you can actually have the whole package.
That's the most
important part.
Yeah. Because I got this, you got this, maybe 2-1, because mine are more rare, That's what's fun, and it would be nice to bring that back.
The positivity that you wanted today.
Yeah, my only collecting cards is online these days, of playing either FIFA Ultimate Team or the NBA My Team. They sort of basically did the same concept. You unpack cards and then you get the players to play
right?
with. But today we have a little game for ourselves, actually. We'll pick 3 packs. There's 5 cards in each pack. 3 packs, that means 15 players from previous EuroLeague season, if I'm not mistaken.
There are 3 different type of cards. Current players, like Eddie Tavares, base legends, such as, for instance, Theo Papaloukas, and 2 retail exclusive parallels, exclusive cards, Yellow Flood and Neon Green Flood, that can be either a current player or a legend.
Okay. And our point of this unboxing of these cards, I guess, is to make the best 5 cards, best lineup, and then...
Or let's say our favorite lineup, why these cards might be exceptional. They might be not the best players on the court, but these cards might be just exceptional themselves.
And then let the audience decide who had the best 5.
The best collection. Yeah, the best 5.
The best 5, because not all 15 we will show.
True.
Okay,
guys,
so now...
I already started. You can get your cards, because the first player ever on this Trace and Chase game that we will have on our podcast, you can guess this EuroLeague player in 10 questions, Gytis.
No, we have no time for
that. Okay, it's Miloš Teodosic.
Ooh. That's a lot for your 5.
Do I have like current?
Oh my gosh. Kevin Punter, Kyle Hans, Adonis Fotsis, Marko Simonovic, and Kevin Punter again. Wow. But this is a different card. This is this.
Come on, guys. I already won.
Wow.
I already won. I have Luka Doncic.
Okay.
Legendary
It's
card.
a cheat code, man.
17-18 Luka
Wow.
Doncic, the MVP. Come on
I
now.
cannot recall the last moment when I was so happy unpacking anything.
Yo, I'm gonna need KP from you.
Thing is, I thought this was gonna be either only current players or like legends from very old times, but actually they have versions of players from, let's say, even Sasha Vezenkov is 22-23 season, Sasha Vezenkov.
So we can-
Then you got like someone from like 2019-20. There's a different, like, you can get a player that still plays in the league from a different year.
This is so nice.
Sasha Vezenkov with Barcelona jersey.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That's crazy.
That's 3 points per game player.
Wow.
Okay, so my starting five for Trace and Chase cards. I have Luka Doncic, legendary card. I have Shaq McKissick at the 2. I have Janan Musa at the 3. Nigel Hayes-Davis at the 4. And Tyreek Jones at the 5.
Tariq Jones and Efes, that's the big difference, man. You have to mention jersey, the teams that they play in at the moment that you have on the cards.
You just said
Tariq Jones of Efes. It's not a special card.
Okay,
true.
I'm changing. I have Devin Booker with
Oh,
Bayern
so you're
Munich.
not confident about your 5. That tells a lot. Okay, my 5, Kemba Walker in Monaco jersey. In 10 years, you're gonna love this card.
You just said all that to start Kemba Walker?
Kevin Punter, Partizan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck
Sasha
playing
Vezenkov,
defense.
Barcelona. Adonis Fotis, Panathinaikos legend in Panathinaikos jersey for sure. And Kyle Hines.
Whatever.
Kyle Hans is not going to fix the defense on that 5.
I don't care about. You're losing all the fun. It's all about
It's
having
fun.
fun.
It's fine.
This is a true modern positionless basketball starting 5. Costas Lucas at the 1, and then
Okay,
there
yeah.
are no
Which
more
are-
positions. No
which
more
Kostas
positions.
Lucas? Panathinaikos?
Today's.
Okay.
The one that just scored the bunch
What
of
if you're a
points.
Panathinaikos fan and you're getting Olympiakos Kostas Lucas?
Oh, that would be, that would be
You should be pissed.
Wow. And then we just have wings. Only wings on the court. One point guard, everyone else is wings.
Flying.
Sasha Vezenkov, 2022-23 season. MVP season,
Okay.
Vezenkov. Andres Nocioni, 2012-2013 season. Still,
Taos Ceramica?
yeah.
Okay.
That's
I mean,
nice.
Caja Laboral. Next up, Printezis towards the end of his career, 2020-21 season. Not probably the prime Printezis.
I wish it was
Printezis.
Unicaja card.
Or when he made the shot, 2012.
Uh-huh.
And finally, Andrei Kirilenko from 2011-2012, I think also MVP. So I have 2 MVPs. I have Kostas Lucas, I think a clear winner out of all these. But
In
the
your
fans will
world.
decide.
And by the way, visit traceandchase.com to explore the latest releases and use the promo code that you're gonna see below this video in the description for an exclusive discount.
But also, let's not make it all about how Zalgiris has problems, right?
Just one last thing.
Yeah.
If it's the last, let's say, thing about Zalgiris, I'm hearing that Zalgiris tries to address the problem of a lack of a point guard who could read those situations when the opponents are really intense. They're really exploring the market. I heard that they try to target some really solid players. The problem is that the market is dry. It depends on if the team wants to sell their player or not. A lot of NBA or G League players are not coming over, so it's not easy. But Zalgiris tries to address that problem that way, and it's not connected to Lonnie Walker. Whether he stays or not, whether he leaves for the NBA, they're still on the market to sign some help.
Yeah, like my point was they wanted Rokas Jokubaitis in the summer. They
And
didn't got
Tyron
him.
Wallace. They expected that from Tyron
Oh,
Wallace.
yeah. Let's not
Exactly.
forget
And
him.
Tyron Wallace, they signed Tyron after, but Tyron was out of the team after 2 games. And instead of him, you signed Lonnie Walker, who's not exactly the type. Like, Zalgiris just could not pass on the opportunity to get the
They
player
picked the
of
best
that
available
level.
player, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the actual team need for that specific situation.
Exactly. And they were like, we just cannot pass up on this situation. I believe they did not think that this could be such a big problem because you just don't expect your team to fall, just straight down like this in the second halves. You just don't expect it, but it might have cost them the season already. It's 5 games that they lost this way, maybe even 6. Baskonia, yesterday against Fener, Olympiacos in the second half, Real Madrid in the second half. So many games in the last month and a half.
On the other hand, you say it might cost them the season. They're 1 win away from the play-in spot. So it's it's just...
That's the thing, Lithuania. Everyone is now trashing Andrea Trinkieri and Žalgiris.
No, that's crazy.
Again, we had some great conversations with Augustas a couple of days ago. And we were talking that at that moment, actually, Žalgiris was just 3 wins away from being the second seed in the standings. And we talked about so many games that they just dropped, like in some stupid situations and stupid moments.
They still are, by the way. 3 wins away from the third.
And they're a good team. They're a good team, but the margin of error in the EuroLeague is so cruel that it's like...
Is this the most competitive EuroLeague season ever? Might be.
We're kind of repeating the same thing every season, basically.
But
probably that's a fair assessment.
But it's so crazy. Like today, I expect a shitstorm on Andrea Trinkieri just because of how Zalgiris lost. While basically this game, you did not really expect to win. I know Panathinaikos have injury problems, but it wasn't given like Zalgiris was supposed to get this point. Like the most important games are actually going to be the 3 next ones at home. Like you must win those. And it's just the way of how Zalgiris are losing those games are making everybody pissed off way more than they should be, because you have a super solid team and it just can't close out games anymore.
On the other side, we have Coach Ataman saying, you cannot stop us. We are the best team in the world. We have the best players. We have the best staff. We have the best fans. We have the best arena. We have the best president, even with me or without. Even with Lessort or without. With Omer, Girgonis or without. In Oaxaca, eighth star will be in Oaxaca. Ejection.
My favorite character in this whole EuroLeague world, let's call it. Because without Ergin Ataman, it would be so boring. Without his theatrics, without all of this, you give technical to him and I go home. What is this? Like,
can you do
it makes no sense.
Can you do a little more of it?
Nah, I can't because I don't want to do it.
Yes.
But
it's what made Gytis famous, basically.
Point being,
exactly, just
so entertaining. So entertaining.
This and 3-on-1.
You guys want to talk about the ejection?
Oh yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So. First of all, this wasn't how it seemed at first, right? Because even us in the WhatsApp chat, we were like, what the hell is this ejection about that the fans stood up? But then I think the official side of the story is that it was actually...
Up until this morning, I thought that everyone thought that it was because of the fan. Because that's what also Coach Ataman kind of tried to send the message to everybody. So it was really confusing. I tried to check the rule book. And I think it actually says that, it can impact something. But by the time this episode will be out, make sure to check out BasketNews.com, because Todd Warnick will give his professional analysis on that specific situation and some other calls. He was not very happy with the officiating in that game, by the way.
Trash.
Just a spoiler alert. But regarding that situation, the official reason why he was out was because there was the assistant coach behind Ataman's back who was protesting one more time for the non-calls potentially. And I'm just guessing, but maybe the coaching staff had already a warning from the officiating crew. So maybe that was the last thing that was needed to get another technical for the bench, which translated into the head coach's ejection because he also had a technical already. But that was the main problem of the officials, the way they communicated that, because Ataman left the court thinking that it was because of the fan. And I felt really bad for that fan because I was like, oh, if Panathinaikos are losing that game, man, you're losing your season ticket. Whether it's a season ticket or not, you're in trouble.
Those VIP tickets are getting canceled, Brody.
Man, you're in trouble.
It's just so funny because Ataman clearly pointed at him, like at the fan, you know?
You, stand up.
And the fan's on the phone. The guy's on the phone. He looks up and he's like, what the hell is going on?
It wasn't me.
Man, I think he's so popular right now among his friends.
But actually, let's give credit to Ataman for doing what he does best, is to ignite the whole Oaxaca, his team, everybody, to put that extra energy with an ejection, not just leave because they asked you to. No, you go across the court, across the center of the court. Of course, throwing fists everywhere, but then at the end you raise your fist. You say, 8 stars coming. We don't give up. Don't underestimate the heart of a champion. All these quotes, and I feel like, to be honest, not just from that moment, but from the third quarter, from the beginning of that third quarter, Oaxaca stood up and never sat back down, because it just felt the energy level went through the roof and affected everybody, both the Panathinaikos and Zalgiris.
Yeah. I was feeling goosebumps, watching that game from that point because of the atmosphere. Even my wife was impressed. She's usually not so much impressed, but he was like, "Oh wow, these fans are cool." Yeah.
No. I mean, after some of these blocks, it just felt like they're getting bullied at this point by everyone, like by the opposing team. I mean, Zalgiris was getting bullied because. It's just, I don't know how else to explain it. It was an incredible level of intensity. Yeah. Plus, it was sparked by the guys who were struggling in the first half. Slukas maybe was one of the better players in the first half, but in the third quarter, I think he gave that initial spark. And then after that, of course, Vanya and Gabriel with his defensive plays, then offensive plays on the other end, which you don't expect from what you've seen so far. I think it was his season high, maybe even this game, 16 points.
Yeah. He had a really rough stretch before that game.
Yeah. So, and Kendrick Nunn started making shots all of a sudden. All this energy makes a guy who shot 4 for 13 from the field in the first half make all these shots. He got up to how many
Slukas
points?
Big shots as well. Yeah.
No, Slukas, I wanted to say just another iconic performance, trademark performance by Kostas Slukas in the fourth quarter, just making those shots, making all the right passes, and just doing what he has been doing his whole career, clutch plays. The guy played only 20 minutes, scored 16 points, dished out 4 assists. When he was on the court, Panathinaikos were better by 34 points than Zalgiris in a match that they won by 13. Plus 34 with Slukas on court. To me, he was the difference maker because Kendrick Nunn came back into the game with like only 3 minutes remaining when it was basically already in the hands of PAO. And I thought Nunn was trying to force the issue a little bit on his own in the first half. Then actually PAO doubled down on that. They were looking for Kendrick Nunn isolations against Arnas Bukavicius at Grasulanovas. They were just letting Kendrick Nunn cook and then seeing what the situation holds. But to me, Slukas feeding Veni and Gabriel and then scoring in those situations. The same thing he did actually in Monday in the Greek derby against Olympiacos. In the fourth quarter, when the game was tied, it was Kostas Slukas once again in the clutch, making shots with the hand in his face, making passes, making mid-range jumpers. It's just amazing that he's still doing that. And what about that? What about that reaction when he signed with PAO, saying that? Oh, Kostas Slukas is getting $3 million at insert the age of him.
Old news.
I'm just remembering, that.
This is old news. And what else? The one of the topics of discussion that has come up with Panathinaikos because of Yurtsev's injury was, do they need to sign someone else? Right?
Yeah, that's the question I had for you guys. If you're Ataman, are you going to the ownership and the front office and requesting another signing, or Wayne and Gabriel kind of sent his message that we're good? He definitely sent a message, right? But how many months or how many weeks is Yurtseven out for? So from 1 to 2 months. Okay. Well, Panathinaikos has 14 wins at the moment. They're in the 4th spot, 4th, 3rd. I mean, sharing those positions. And obviously, you see that in certain games, Gabriel can be a game changer. Offensive rebounding, he put up in this game, and all the energy on the defensive end. But I think safe bet would be to sign at least a backup, someone for backup, because obviously Kostas Antetokounmpo is not in Ataman's plans. Regardless of the shortened rotation in the front court,
he's still not using Kostas.
Yeah.
Meaning you could, if there's an option and you have money, why not sign someone? Otherwise, but you don't sign someone big. You sign someone really a backup, because after Yurtseven is back, after Lessort is back, which he will be back after that injury. It wasn't that, it looked very bad, but apparently only 4 months from when he got injured. I think then you have a bit of a weird situation.
At the same time, it's so hard to bring something, a superstar at this moment of the season. There are no superstars on the market, so
just someone to
play a role,
10 minutes,
something different from Wayne and Gabriel. Gabriel was amazing, but at the same time, you cannot expect from him to perform the same way every night, and you need to give some rest as well.
Sure.
And it was just a second half from Gabriel. Like in the first half, you barely noticed him on the court.
It's true.
And I just don't think, a PAO fan should be thinking, oh, Venin Gabriel is going to play like this in every game. No, like he's known to get into a foul trouble. And I would absolutely go for a center because I think if PAO wants to make a Final Four, they need to have home court advantage. They need home court advantage. And Lessort, in my eyes, is very questionable for this season, for the playoffs. I would not count on, Lessort. If he's healthy for the playoffs, that's great news. But, if I was managing the team, I'm like, we are probably going to have to be without Lessort for the playoffs. And that means we need home court advantage badly. You need 3 games in Oaxaca. You need game 5 in Oaxaca. And, now with Yurtseven out, with Lessort out, I think you need to sign someone to get that home court advantage because PAO will have a lot of tough games coming up, and the league is competitive. They already dropped a lot of games that they should have won, even last week in Barcelona and Baskonia. So they must have home court advantage, and because of that, I think they must sign a center.
They're playing Milan away next week, but they have a lot of injury problems. Then they're having Fenerbahce at home, Efes at home, and then there's this FIBA break and Cubs break. It's not an easy schedule. They also have a lot of games against Madrid, Olympiacos, so Paris, Monaco,
Red Sox. Guys, that's three games. 3 games you wait for Yurtseven. And then he's back by the 28th of February, you would assume.
Is he?
I mean, wasn't it a month?
But if it's if it's between 1 or 2 months, let's say if it's for 2 months, I doubt he's back for the end of the February. And again,
2 months,
he needs game rhythm and stuff. That's the same with Lessort. You cannot count on Yurtseven being super impactful when he returns. So, and we're talking about a team that they have money. So if you have money, so at least buy something. And I actually compiled a list of the 5 most popular bigs theoretically on the market, or let's say 5 the most popular bigs that are targeted by the EuroLeague teams. You can find this article on BasketNews.com. This article is exclusively available for BN Plus members only. But there are some names, and I actually have one guy who's very similar to Mathias Lessort, or what can Mathias Lessort offer, and maybe that's something that they need at the moment. I'm not going to spoil the name. That's the reason why I have to subscribe to BN Plus to read the article.
You just teased us. Okay.
But it's not easy because a lot of these targets, huge buyouts, over 500K. They already paid Wayne and Gabriel and Maccabi like something close to 400. Some of the teams, they're just not letting their players go, or guys like Bruno Fernando, he's close to sign with Madrid, or maybe he even committed already. But who knows, maybe, Panathinaikos will make a last-minute call to change the situation. So it's not an easy market, but they could find something, because my guy that I mentioned actually has a fixed buyout in his contract, 150. So
you're not talking about this one, the article we have publicly out about Gilson Bango?
No.
Okay.
That's the guy actually that Fenerbahce tried to get, but Zaragoza is not willing to let him go. Unless, Panathinaikos comes up with some crazy buyout.
Or unless, the strategy for EuroLeague team this season is to just call Maccabi Tel Aviv and see what they have in their roster remaining.
It's over. Who's feeling transfer deadline is over, so that saved Maccabi from losing one more player.
At least from that, but
Yeah. The last question that I had about Panathinaikos was Chima Moneke and him saying that without Lessort and the Viewed 7 out for 2 months, he did not include Panathinaikos. He doesn't include Panathinaikos in the Final Four prediction. Would you agree that they're out of Final Four without these two guys?
As I just said, if they don't have home court, I don't see them in the Final Four.
Get in the game with top basketball leagues. Place your bets with the highest odds for greater wins. Oh, score big with our exclusive bonuses. Bet now and get your bonus.
Well, that's the thing with the home court. It's so close, like we said just a few minutes ago about the competitiveness and the difference between the 11th place, which is 12 wins, and the 3rd place, which is 14 wins, that you can think in those... I'm going to disagree with myself now, but because, 3 games, sure. But in 3 games, you can pretty much fall out of the playoff, even the playoff picture. So, I see your point of having someone signed. And now I see your point about, the whatever Chima said about not having the centers. But obviously, one of them will be back. Lessort probably is the main name here that is making the difference. Whether
he's a game changer. Yeah.
He's one of the leaders of the team. It's not even a question. So I don't know.
But I'm not
You're
counting
right
on,
about home court, I think.
I'm not counting on Lessort just as I'm not counting on Keenan Evans this season. Like 2 great players. I hope they come back as soon as possible. But you just can't hope, that a player will recover well from injuries that are pretty, in Keenan's case is even way worse. What he has gone through with the injury. Lessort,
but at least for Olympiacos, they got it covered, basically, with the guys that they have.
Exactly.
Panathinaikos has a clear hole in their roster right now. And that's why they should go after the guy I mentioned in my article, who completely reminds me of Mathias Lessort.
Okay. So you guys think if Panathinaikos finishes from 5th to 8th or so on, they're incapable of making the Final Four? Is that what you guys think?
They are capable, but I would have the other team as a favorite, most probably, depending on the matchup.
I think it really depends on the matchup as well. Because let's say they get Paris or something like that. That's not that's not a team that will expose you because of your centers.
If you get Fener or Monaco, I'm not seeing PAO as a favorite without home court advantage.
But we're talking about centers specifically, what they provide.
No, it's not about only one position. It's just about the whole team picture, what you have.
But it's a super stacked, talented team, Panathinaikos is. You can't really just write them off because of one absence. It's still...
that absence is
it's an NBA caliber, I looked at the starting lineup yesterday. I was like, okay, 4 of these guys played in the NBA. It's insane.
But at the same time, what if you face Olympiacos in the playoffs?
If you face the first team or
Zalgiris was close to winning that game. Panathinaikos were close to dropping the 3rd straight game. And if that happened, they had 13 wins, and theoretically they could have ended up being in the play-in pool, and you're 8th, and now you're facing Olympiacos or Fenerbahce, who attacks your mismatches, or any other opponent. I mean, that's super tricky.
Because I'm saying that I would see the other team the favorite if PAO doesn't have an advantage, home court advantage, and Lessort is because they depend on talent, basically. And last year against Maccabi knew how to attack Panathinaikos and were pretty close to, winning that series, even without Wade Baldwin. So...
Yeah, and it took Kendrick Nunn, Slukas to play their greatest series. I mean, they were super good, so...
Exact.
From after first few games, they turned it up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like without the matchup, we are just shooting in the blind.
Of course,
we don't know.
That's what this podcast is all about.
Yeah, that's what also Moneke tried to do here, is to give some bold prediction, I guess.
What do you want to follow up with? We have this Partizan win against Paris basketball, another impressive game. But you were super impressed about Indiana Pacers and San Antonio Spurs game.
wasn't impressed
that
about
you were
it.
about to switch from the
No, no,
EuroLeague
no, no,
action,
no.
the greatest EuroLeague night of the season that we just recalled, to this NBA game.
Hey, number one, the NBA night was also as great. SGA with 59 points.
Just not in Paris, probably.
Jokic. No, Paris game, we forget. We forget what I said about Paris game.
Now we forget.
It's yesterday.
No,
it's
no,
history.
no, but
Also, Wemby put up some crazy stat line, like you said. So
Last season is last season.
Last night is last night.
no, yeah, I don't know where are we going with this. Where are we going in this podcast?
No, you wanted to talk about how great NBA Paris game was.
I was just talking about the NBA, not the Paris game necessarily.
Yeah.
I was saying that the NBA lifestyle, the NBA vibes. I'm now after our trip to Chicago, after seeing
But
3
what
games.
vibes, man?
What vibes? You were watching Bulls, Wizards,
Yeah,
Pelicans.
It was really painful
trash.
to watch
No,
some of these games.
The games
Most
were
of these
not,
games.
The games were not. I wasn't talking about the game itself. I wasn't talking about the basketball X's and O's.
But no,
which
I'm
is
talking about
we
the
are not
experience.
talking about X's and
about
O's.
an experience at United Center.
It wasn't about the United Center
okay.
experience. It was about experiencing just the NBA vibe and then coming back and then putting on a game at the right time of the day. What was it, like 9 p.m. in our country? And I was like, oh, that's actually nice. I like the product of the NBA in terms of overall, like chill vibes, positivity, American positivity. The games, yeah, they don't matter as much. But there's also still like great games on there. There are game winners, all of that, higher level of basketball in terms of talent. And I just said that if I had a chance to watch games at this time of the day, I'd probably not watch EuroLeague as much because I like the overall product that I see. Obviously, from the playoffs, it's not even a question that the NBA is a crazier in terms of basketball quality.
But you were focusing on negativity in European over the positivity, and you were like, we have this negativity, toxic things in Europe,
Yes.
YouTube comments.
We do. No, not just YouTube comments. Even yesterday, you look at the game in the first half, from the third quarter, really, those fans standing up, fucking, I'll fucking kill you, you're a ref, you suck, blah,
Going
blah,
with
blah.
Lonnie Walker back and forth every time. If you notice, Lonnie Walker was trash talking these fans all the time.
I loved it because I feel like
embraced that
he
atmosphere.
loved it.
Yeah.
He loved it. And I get it, like it's nice, but at the same time, it's just so like unnecessary. It's
I know
so
what you're saying.
stupid. It's like fucking get a life, man.
It's great for 1 or 2 nights per season, but if it's getting like the
It's
same
just a
getting for every
negative
week,
emotion and
I know
a
what you're saying.
cloud of negative emotion with the lightning striking down. And in the NBA, it's all flowers and rainbows or whatever. But sometimes for your brain, it's nice to see positive things. We're so used to like fucking let's suffer on the court, let's fucking drama all
But
this.
I don't know. I think you're focusing on the wrong things.
No, I think
I don't see. I know the
'Cause you're-
negativity you're talking about.
because you have an analytical basketball brain, you care about like X's, O's, basketball, that. I care about cheerleaders. I care about the vibe. I care about positive energy. From 2025, it's all about positivity in my end.
You can have so much
off.
positivity in the world even with watching EuroLeague.
You can. And actually, from after PAO regained the lead, or gained the lead, let's say, came back, it became positive. It became chance of the names of the players, all of that. It was nice. Before that, when the focus was on the refs, who didn't control the game, we agree on that they were trashed this game. Sure, like that's the part I'm like, oh, my head hurts from all this like negative fucking shit coming on the court. And yeah, and I know how it really just reflects the whole European basketball. It's just all very nervous breakdown, incoming energy.
But you know what has vibes? NCAA games. That's the biggest experience from my trip. We spent less than an entire day in Champaign for the University of Illinois game against South Carolina
No, it was
University?
where Bronny played. Where was
Yeah.
it?
Champagne.
So South Carolina.
UNC? North Carolina?
I don't remember. But anyways, I mean...
USC, yeah, maybe.
Saturday, 11 in the morning, 15,000 people packing up the gym. It was a winter break for the students. And before that trip, I was told that, do not expect the game to be in a full house because students are away. Man, 15,000 people watching the game at 11 o'clock. More positivity. Huge atmosphere. I mean, fans were electric, different from European fans. I'm not saying that they were creating more noise or pressure, but they were great. They were involved, and it was a pure joy to experience that game. And a lot of European basketball fans who go to USA for the first few times, they all go for NBA tickets. I want to try this NBA game. That's great if that's the playoff game or if that's a great game between two big teams. But if it's not, I would genuinely recommend you just to check for the NCAA games. It's something what's familiar to us from the atmosphere standpoint, but it's just everything is so interesting. The referees, the way their outfits, the assistant coaches doing some crazy stuff that you won't see in Europe. Just the dynamics of having two halves, not four quarters, and just the experience of watching something that's familiar to European basketball on NCAA court with a lot of tactics and stuff, but at the same time having this great atmosphere, which is far away from the NBA experience that I had. So that's my number one recommendation. They do those videos, things not to do in USA, let's say, so do not go to the NBA game. Go to NCAA.
So if Donatas were to make a TikTok, he would be like hidden gems in the United States.
Although not so hidden. It's hidden maybe in our brains.
Europeans.
But you know, even with Donatas saying all those things about NCAA, I would go for an NBA game which has a big name like Steph, KD.
Of course, Steph.
Just
KD.
because of a big name.
But have you been to an NCAA game?
No.
That's another thing. We thought about those games from one perspective before going there, and after it's just a different feeling. It's just a feeling you get like, I don't know. I was talking about the positivity. It's all positive, but also like loud. They celebrate every bucket. They celebrate defense even more than offense. Sometimes I realized, like a defensive possession, they go, yeah, like it's a buzzer beater or something. And also, I felt like in Europe we go boom, all of this when the opposing team is actually having the possession, all that,
which is not bad.
No.
What do you want me to cheer for the other team?
But
positivity.
This positivity guy.
Please score.
No, but they're actually they were like raising the level of noise, but in a positive
kind of
they were
excitement.
Like excitement.
Let's make a great defensive player or something,
rather
than
exactly.
just
like
you guys
hyping up
offense.
your team for defense rather than trying
sense.
to put the other team down.
Gytis is very philosophical today.
Can you write some positive comments for Gytis, please?
I don't see any positive comments going after what Gytis said actually about the NBA and European basketball differences.
No, he
actually had some great points.
No.
I spent a week with him, so I probably know him better than everyone that is listening to his thoughts and try to protest the way Ergin Ataman was protesting. But I see you, Gytis. What about the invasion of the NBA in Europe? The same night that we enjoyed this greatest EuroLeague night of the season, the real invader Adam Silver had a press conference.
But did he actually say anything? Because he did what Gytis does on videos.
What are your reactions? Because we already discussed it, but did you find anything new, or you had some feelings about the NBA idea? The press conferences, the average information that was published.
I find it odd that he's saying, EuroLeague clubs is still an option, when obviously FIBA, EuroLeague, there's a war. I talked about this in my video before. Actually, there's a video, is NBA actually coming to Europe? Check that out as well, because I just kind of put everything we have right now into a video. But point being, it's not going to happen with EuroLeague clubs if they're also trying to involve FIBA, I think. And it's weird that
they can still opt out. Some EuroLeague clubs can still opt out.
Oh no, they can opt out.
So they can join. Not like all the EuroLeague clubs.
What I'm saying, he doesn't rule out having EuroLeague clubs, but they stay in EuroLeague. That's what I understood. Like they both play in EuroLeague, they play in this NBA Europe division or whatever. Or did you get it that they would leave the EuroLeague?
They would leave. the NBA Europe League.
Okay. No, this scenario obviously is
and
more
that's the main
logical.
thing. And from what I heard, the main target by the NBA, the main, let's say, targeted team is Real Madrid. And that's always been a point of discussion or doubt from the EuroLeague family. And there are some, from what I heard, NBA might even make some moves to convince Madrid even more, maybe hosting the NBA game in Madrid. We saw a lot of games in Paris, but they might do something with Madrid right now. So, what if Madrid leaves? They have the highest budget in EuroLeague for years. They have this brand, many times EuroLeague champions and stuff. So it's a tricky point with Real Madrid.
But if only Real Madrid leaves, they would need to pay exit clause, which is millions and millions, like Trump
Is
would
that
say.
a problem for the
Millions.
NBA?
They have football money.
You think NBA would cover it?
I think so. You probably have to make some sacrifices, and that's what you do for the potentially biggest name in the EuroLeague.
But do you then do it just with Real Madrid, or you need to get everyone else? Because
Maybe
otherwise,
that's when it's easier to convince others. When somebody makes the first step, then I'm like,
for
okay,
sure.
they did it already. So there's Madrid. If we get on board, maybe something else will join. So,
I'm really skeptical if only like Real Madrid and one other EuroLeague team joins NBA Europe. Another competition, that's not going to get you TV money, deals, whatever, and it's not going to be a big deal only because NBA is involved. You either get all of the best European clubs in one competition, or you either have simply a third competition, which is not that interesting. And everybody loses from that scenario, I think. If EuroLeague loses a couple of clubs, there's a third competition, it's not good for anyone. I just don't see how Europe can have 2 or 3 different competitions at similar level and expect it to work. Like the money is not there, and you need all teams in one bag. And EuroLeague at the moment have all of it. You have the Greeks, you have the Serbians, you have the Turkish teams, you have main French teams, Spanish teams. Only Real Madrid and Paris. That's not going to do anything.
maybe more teams.
I feel like Silver is mistaken. I don't know. Maybe this would be naive for me to think he's so naive. But obviously, they're pointing to the things such as we sell out every single preseason game in Europe. We sell out this Paris games. Yeah, you do, but you sell out because those games because there are NBA teams and NBA players playing in them, not because there's an NBA logo attached to it.
And twice per year
And only
in Europe.
and-
That's
and
a rare
only-
event,
only one time,
high-demand
yeah.
event. Yeah.
So, if you don't have the NBA players, I'm not sure what's the interest in this NBA Euro project if you don't have EuroLeague best teams, same thing. What Augusta said is really true, I think.
I agree. I'm also more of a skeptic than optimist because I'm not convinced. There's too much uncertainty already. If they want to start in 2026 or 2027, there's just too much uncertainty. Who is going to play? How is all going to work? You mentioned this thing. If those teams will be attractive without the NBA players, they're targeting, let's say, non-passionate basketball markets.
Yes,
how they're going to convince those people to watch those games. If it's okay, NBA logo, that's great, but it's not the NBA talent on the court. And I have a reference from WWE. I just recently watched the documentary where they actually, I was shocked that they tried to make the NFL league, American Football League. XFL, and it worked for one season because they tried to put this,
entertainment aspect.
Costume of the WWE to create some dramas off the court and storylines. But the fact was that the on-court level was really low. And that's the main thing I can predict with the NBA. I mean, there are going to be some good teams, but at the same time, other teams, they're not going to be elite clubs that you would go to watch every time. So there's too much uncertainty for me to think that is for sure going to be a successful project, because when you also watch the other NBA projects that they do, NBA Africa.
BAL,
we heard NBA Africa, but what is NBA Africa worldwide? Even G League, they're not selling out G League games by far. So just a lot of uncertainty. If you don't have the best players which play in the NBA, how you're going to make it work? And Anything to add?
Yeah, they gotta do it like Trump. He wants to buy Greenland now, so they just need to buy everything. The whole EuroLeague thing, they just buy, they throw money at it, take the whole thing, make it to however you want now. That's the only way to be successful.
The only way I see it could work if they make the Europe division in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Let's say they create 3 or 4 teams in Berlin, Paris, Madrid, wherever, Milan. They put them play according to the NBA rules. NBA stars can play in those teams, and you do tours. You know, you fly to Europe to play like 7 games or whatever. At some point, these European teams also go there. So you have the NBA talent in those cities. And I would love to go there. I would love to see those games if I'm from Milan, from Berlin, or whatever. But we're talking about the league, and we're talking about the huge expansion. Like 4, 5
6
more teams in Europe. They find it really hard to expand in their own country with Seattle or Las Vegas and other potential cities.
And those are still in plans, like those
exactly.
two. Yeah.
And it's already took a lot of years to even think or materialize that idea. And now we're talking about the division in Europe. It just seems so unlikely.
Nah, bro, just wake up from dreams.
Exactly.
Just wake up.
Just the last point I want to add about the NBA plans that I've heard from one source. Let's see, about the potential teams that could be involved. From what I heard, I mentioned Madrid. From what I heard, they're not so interested in, let's say, traditional passionate fan bases and those, powerhouses that we considered as powerhouses in Europe. And it includes teams from Greece, Turkey, Serbia. They're not in the big NBA picture. They're targeting Berlin, Milan, Paris, Great Britain teams and markets.
These capitalist Americans with their money.
So, like, they want to have 2 teams from Germany, 2 teams from France, 2 teams from Spain, maybe Manchester, Milan potentially, and whatsoever.
Manchester United basketball.
So yeah, it's
capitalist, but like Real Madrid is living from football money. If not for football money and the ability to go in depth with your basketball team, like Real Madrid and Barcelona would not be as dominant as they were for the last 20
Maybe
30
they're
years.
also overestimating like how big basketball is in Europe, because it's not that big, It's not. We see it. It's not that big.
I was about to question like, where are you going with this basketball? Is how big basketball is in Europe, because it's like football is still
no question,
way far ahead. Just last thing about the NBA, the Netflix are about to show a docu-series about the Olympics. They follow USA, Canada, Serbia, and France for the Olympics.
Man.
4 teams that were playing for top spots, and I don't know, that KD's line about that chemistry is going to help you guard Steph. It's, to me, is an all-time quote, and we still haven't seen 0 minutes of the actual documentary series, because hearing it now after what happened in the Olympics in the last 2 games with Steph, KD himself, and LeBron dominating in the last minutes is peak. Yeah, I can't wait, and it's going to be out, I think, February 18th, which is really close from now.
There was this quote by KD. Do you remember? When he was asked if the rest of the world is narrowing the gap between the Team USA and the others, his response was, "Hell nah, of course not. We beat Serbia 3 times this summer. 1 game? Yeah, they're going to get 1 game when they look solid. France beat us 1 time, but we beat them for the gold medal in Tokyo. Last Olympics too, we beat them twice for the gold. We created basketball. They were influenced by us. Luka was influenced by Americans. So was Jokic. So was Kukoc. So was Manu, Tony Parker. All these dudes were influenced by Americans. We set the blueprint. It's cute for sure for people who want to experience history. I was there to see the changing of the guard between Americans and Europeans. People want to try to switch the narrative and hype some shit up when the reality is that we've been dominating these dudes the whole time. And they finally got close to 20 points, and now you're saying that they are catching up. Nah, it doesn't make any sense. The best players come from the places we come from. We set the standard for being the great in basketball."
Some truth, some
A
bullshit.
lot of mad European fans. Fans, for sure. But I don't know.
Well, some things are right, some are not.
That was quite fair.
Some
on
things
point.
like best players come from USA is not right anymore. Best players come from Europe at the moment in the NBA.
True.
But at the same time, yes, if you take all the
talent pool.
The NBA's full roster, like every player is probably 80% of them are American. I don't really know the numbers, but still it's 125 internationals last season at least. So out of 400 something.
450, 460. Something like that.
And the fact the USA lost against, it lost in the World Cups and all those kind of competitions. They didn't have their top players there, so it's Of course, the Paris Olympics was a different story with how the finals and the semifinals went.
But KD is talking about dominating, and I don't think USA is dominating anymore.
That's true.
And. But he can talk shit.
That's the thing. Now he
the
can
only
say
guy
shit.
that can talk shit. Maybe not the only guy. LeBron.
They didn't win though. Then he wouldn't have these arguments.
KD can talk any shit he wants. Either it's right or not. All of it right.
Partizan Paris basketball. Exciting game that we had in the EuroLeague, and Partizan is on a good run. 5 wins in the last 6 games, improving their playoff chances a lot. What were your impressions from that game, from that night?
Augustus, can I ask you, wasn't it weird that Zeljko started the first quarter playing zone defense, which really hurt them a lot? The Paris just literally passed the ball around, open 3-pointer. Of course, making those shots, but isn't it an odd strategy to stop Paris with zone defense? I wasn't very...
Did they play zone?
They started the first 5 minutes maybe, 14-6 when the score was. They were playing sort of 2-3 maybe, something like that. And I was
they were just, I don't know.
Because then they changed
They were playing. They were playing this hedging defense against trapping TJ, and just Paris were passing it out really well, passing it around. And what was it like 7-15, 4 of 11? They pressed throughout full court. But some games, some teams did that against Paris in after they went on a 10-game winning streak, and it worked. So
they definitely played zone, by the way. I just checked.
And they won the fourth quarter by scoring 34 points. I mean, in Paris. And I've checked that it's been only 18 times when one winning team scored 30 points in the first quarter, and 16 of 18 times the team that scored over 30 points actually won the game. So it's been only the third time when Partizan managed to to switch the tables and win the game.
I mean, they scored 34 in the first quarter and scored 37 in the second half. So it shows the difference. Of course, the second quarter was the biggest stopper there, because they managed to play more physical. Paris was turning the ball over and actually not even getting good looks. The looks they got, that they made the shots, were okay, but in general, keeping Paris to 15 points with the pace they play at, I thought from Partizan was an incredible achievement. And I mean, that's one of these things about Paris, and I'm not talking about Partizan right now, but about Paris, when we said, this team is looking great, how are they going to be stopped? That was probably a month ago. That's the last time I was on the podcast, by the way, about a month ago, because a lot of things happened in between. But I was saying, let's see what happens after Paris loses a couple of games. Can they bounce back? And so far, it's been a bit of a struggle.
I don't know still where you saw that zone, by the way, but it's whatever. Okay.
Wait, now I'll go into the actual.
It's okay. Don't. But first time actually Partizan is in playing region. We don't look at standings 3, 4, or 5 rounds into the season. Now they're back into the plane, and I'm a little bit disappointed in us, or in myself, or just in us three, that we did not believe in Partizan for just a little bit longer, because we were saying, oh, this team is great. This team has potential. This team is lengthy. They have good defenders in all positions. Yeah, they may lack, a power forward, but they have potential. And we were like hyping them up after even the first losses, blah, 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 blah. But they kept losing. They were just too, inconsistent. And we were like, nah, okay, it's wraps. They're not going to make the play-in. And now they're looking as one of the better teams in the EuroLeague at the moment. I'm taking into consideration all the teams, and Zeljko's reaction in the end was just phenomenal. Like, for him to still react, and I remember him saying that I believe in this team like no other, and he kept believing. He kept working with this team, and it's still, you can see how much it means to him. And just amazing. Some stats: last 8 games, Partizan has the 3rd best offense, 7th best defense. They are great, top 3 in not turning the ball over, top 3 in assists, so you have great ball movement and a great system. Number 4 in turnovers forced, number 1 in steals. Not easy to play against, and they somehow managed a little bit to fix their defensive rebounding problem. So they're looking great.
It's still a long way to go. I mean,
it's still
we
a
also
long way
should
to
be patient.
go, but their current form, even without some players,
and they're gonna have to play a lot of tough away games against Monaco, Olympiacos, Barcelona, even Bayern, where they're really good. Zalgiris, so it's Madrid at home. It's a long way to go, but yeah, it's good to see them back on track. But this Zeljko moment, this thing that he did in the end, I mean, it's so great to see the guy who is in his 60s, he's 64, celebrating and just embracing the moment this way. So, I mean, it's a rare passion that he has for the job he does, because he saw everything. He did everything he could. I mean, to see him celebrating that way, and Isaiah Mike was also amazing. The guy, I don't remember, he probably didn't even play that game. He was also celebrating for his coach a lot, and like it was a nice picture in general. And just, once again, Zeljko did his stuff. I don't think that Pokuševski played in the first 3 quarters of that game. I really doubt. So he enters the court in the 4th quarter.
Huge.
And hits 2 off-board threes, makes a block, makes a huge impact, and plays 9 minutes in that 4th quarter, which was close. I mean, it was a tie game. And the other highlight of the game actually was this guy named Arijan Lakić.
Yes, sir.
This is the first time I saw him playing. I had to Google about him. He's a 24-year-old player who actually made his 3rd EuroLeague appearance this season. And the guy makes the difference. He also played almost the entire 4th quarter. And he comes, he hits 2 threes, he contests TG Short's shots, he sticks to Nadir Hifai and doesn't let him to get the ball and to try to score. He gets 2 offensive boards in the 4th quarter, tips the ball for a crucial defensive rebound, and just making a winning impact, making winning plays for that team. And it's like, it's, again, Zeljko Obradović thing. Bringing some local players that we were not aware of and making them make a difference in the games that matter. So I'm like, typical Partizan and Zeljko Obradović.
Isaac Bonga was great as well in the first half. Partizan, by the way, I think had season high in threes made. But Bonga just finally not only making spot-up threes, not only playing great defense, but also the attacking, the closeouts. Got a floater, got a spot-up shot, made a dunk, made another shot off the glass. Just also had the one, I think, forced turnover that turned into a Lakić three-pointer, I think. It got Partizan back in the game in the first half, and then, Pokuševski's 2 threes off the backboard. A little bit luck involved, but basically, defensively, I think Partizan did not made any, or, they were pretty solid on the defensive end. They did not make many mistakes against Paris' system, which is hard to do. And they won all the 50-50 balls in the end and secured that win. And I thought like Nadir Hifai maybe missed 1 shot too many, maybe shot 1 shot too many. He was just, not making those shots.
You live or die with it.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
With Hiffy, it's the reason. And by the way, have you seen the TikTok that EuroLeague made?
Nope.
With that.
Don't play
watch
copyrighted
TikTok.
music on the podcast.
It's 9 seconds.
Still, just.
By the way, I
mute it.
don't have TikTok, but it reached me
Can you
because
just mute it?
no, it's the whole point of the video.
So, man.
Oh.
Okay.
Thank
you, Mantas Ramelis.
Okay. I can imagine the song. It's fun. I've heard it too many.
Mustard.
Yeah. Nice social media team. No, really, props.
Yeah.
Also, have you guys seen the crazy zone defense they played in the first quarter, which didn't happen? I just realized it's good. It's good to watch.
You just did
it's
Vaidas
not very
Čeponis?
good to watch. Yeah. I did something that one of the journalists did in Lithuania
The
before
Šarūnas
with
Jaskevičius, which is a
Jaskevičius saying
big mistake.
Your zone defense was not very good, and he's like, we didn't play a single minute of zone defense this season. But yeah, I got tricked probably by the what's it called, the commentator who said, they're applying this 2-3 zone, and I was watching this today. So yeah, they played maybe 2 possessions of zone, maybe. That's it.
Certain. Let's not go into
It's
that.
a
Why?
lack of preparation. Let's call it that. That's all.
No,
it
it's
is.
just when you want to say too much.
Yeah, exactly. Few other incredible games. FS just I don't even know how to describe this game against Milan. The biggest concern, the biggest concern is Shane Larkin. The injury that he had looked bad. Hopefully he's okay, because once again it changes the whole picture for FS, who are trying to make the playoffs. We were supposed to talk about Zvezda and them being on a good run, but they waste this important point and win against Maccabi, Monaco also. I mean, they were overshadowed by all the other events that night, but they actually also came back from a huge deficit, over 20 points.
20 points, yeah. 21 maybe.
Mario Hezonja making this game winner in a game where only Baskonia can blame themselves. I think that they missed 3 of the last 4 free throws that would have secured the win. And the way they defended, I know it's like critical moment of the game, you might lose the game with that one shot. There's no reason to have 3 guys on Edi Tavares at the 3-point line. And that's when you kind of have Mario Hezonja kind of open. Although if you watch that...
blaming Chima Moneke on that episode.
No, I blame 3 guys who were on Edi Tavares.
Say it to the camera. Say it to the
Chima
camera.
Moneke, Kamar Baldwin, and Donta Hall probably. Some of them, and maybe even Chima, because he was on the ground, he was at least trying to steal the ball. But the other 2 guys, I mean... You could just do something different. But
it just happens like such a small detail in that last situation, because Campazzo lost the ball, actually.
Yeah.
And just it happened to fall into Tavares' hands. And I don't blame, Donta Hall is guarding Tavares, so he's there. Chima is going for the ball because he thinks he can steal that basketball. And all of a sudden you have Hezonja wide open there.
And it's easy to talk about that moment.
Yeah, it happened instantly.
Exactly.
It was a lost ball situation which happened to turn into Real Madrid's favor. And why does not surprise me that things go all well in Real Madrid's way?
Man,
somehow,
they're going to make the Final Four. Really. They're going to make the Final Four. I changed my prediction. No Paris, Madrid's in the Final Four.
Do you want that, though?
It doesn't matter what you want. It doesn't matter what you
position?
want.
Because
it doesn't matter.
You usually put us
I want
in that position.
storylines. I'm the host. That's my job, to put you out of comfort zone. The last question that I had related to Partizan and Zvezda. How many Serbian teams you see in the playoffs?
2. Oh, in the playoffs or in the play-in team?
Play-in is an easier question to answer, isn't
The
it?
interesting thing is that I don't remember who made that list. Maybe it was 3 Steps Basket. But I saw the strength of schedule, like 6 different options. And in many cases, Zvezda actually had the easiest schedule, which goes in their favor a lot. They're already in a good position, and they could have been better in a better position.
These easier schedule, like they just lost against Maccabi, which you would assume is an easier team to, but they have this offensive potential all of a sudden in this game to score 85 points and win the game. So I wouldn't look at it as much.
But look, they have now the derby is coming up next week, and after that, Zvezda has Asvel at home, Alba away, Zalgiris at home, Bayern away, and Emporio Armani Milano at home. It's like 5
Doesn't
games.
sound bad, yeah.
You can win it all.
Actually,
Zvezda.
the way it looks right now,
Then they have Virtus at home. 6 games they can win.
Yeah.
the way the standings are right now, it feels like we'll have
should be.
one Serbian team, and in the play-in we'll see a derby, and that would be a great, like which team makes
derby game in a play-in. Wow.
The way it is right now, let's say Real
going
beats
to that game.
Zvezda. Real beats Zvezda. Let's say like the way it is right now, right? Then Zvezda has to play the winner of these two. I feel like Partizan can win against Bayern, and then you got Zvezda Partizan for who makes the playoffs.
Wow.
What a fucking story would that be? I'd love to see that.
You're
But
a
of
good
course it's
YouTuber. That's why you're a content
early.
creator.
Still
You're creating some great content.
He sees storylines before that.
If
Before
this
that
was
happens.
WWE and we were in control of this,
I'm fixing EuroLeague.
I would do this.
Yeah, EuroLeague,
I
I'm
would do
just
this.
including EuroLeague Mafia, and that's it. That's the play-in.
EuroLeague, Mafia. That was yesterday a chant actually.
Wow. Actually, if you want to like make a serious consideration about those two teams' chances, you have to check what's dropping from the top and who might rise from the bottom. But Milan has injury problems, so now it's hard to predict. They were on a good run, but these injuries with Mirotic especially, which remains uncertain. Josh Nebo is out long term. That's a huge problem. They're also exploring the market. Efes, I mean, they're inconsistent. Now there's this thing with Shane Larkin. Who knows?
They were consistent, but on losing.
Exactly.
On the bad, yeah.
Exactly.
Zalgiris, we spoke for the first half of the podcast about their problems, but those are probably the 3 teams that you still consider. Everything down from there is a gone.
The last
Is a
three
goner.
teams. But from the top,
From the top, you probably can assume Paris can drop games. You probably assume Bayern and Barca maybe. That's
okay.
And I mean, the
So-
Serbian teams can also not deliver. You never
Exactly.
know, You never know.
So let's say they're in a good position to make the playoffs. That would be the verdict.
I would
right?
say so, but I feel like one of them is gonna be there. One won't.
So which team?
We'll see in the play-in showdown.
Man, it's good to be back.
Yeah, it's nice to be back actually.
We back to action. Shout out to Birja Henry.
Also, guys, you always forget this, but there's a subscribe button and you don't press it, and it hurts my heart. So I want positivity, and that's how we start positivity, by subscribing and pressing the notification bell.
And liking this video. Don't forget that.
Video.
Okay.
Thank you guys for watching.